Hello guys, and welcome to my first video or tutorial for this channel, and today I'll be showing you how to make a simple first-person character movement in Unreal Engine from scratch. So first you need a project, so I'll just make a blank project, but if you already have a project that you want to add this character movement to, you can use that as well. So I'll just be calling my game first person as the title. You can call it whatever you would like to, does not matter, and if you already have a game, I already said so. So let's create the project. Okay, once you're in your game, we have to create two blueprints. So first of all, you also need a terrain to be able to walk on. So as I just started this project, I already have a big terrain here, but if you do not have one, you can just click on here on this little plus with a box on it. Click shapes and cube. This should bring you a cube. You don't need anything too special currently if you're just making movement, and you can just grow it on with clicking R, and right between these two things you can use this to make it bigger. Or you can go inside of your side here and click on the details panel and change its transform on the scale. So there you go. And so now what we need is two blueprints for our game. So first what we need to do is create a blueprint class and character right there, and just call it whatever you want. I'll be just calling this BP underscore just FP. There you go, it's first person, and BP stands for blueprint. And we can enter that. Actually, first we need to also create another thing, which we need to go inside of this area, and we got to go into world settings. But if you do not have this, you can go into window right here, and at the very bottom it says world settings of this little list right here, world settings. You can click on that and that will pop up this. And what we need from this is the game mode override. What we can do here is you can see all these things: default pawn class, HUD class, player controller class, game state class, player state class, spectator class, and you can see that we can't change any of these, which is unfortunate, but we can make our own. I know there's many already here, but I would just create your own so you can have more access to it and know what you're doing. And so all we gotta do is create a new blueprint with this little plus icon with a circle around it, and click on it. So you can put it in whatever folder you want. I'll just have it already set as a blueprint folder right there, and just call this BP underscore game or game mode. There you go. So now it's blueprint game mode, or you can write in my game mode or whatever you want, doesn't matter. There you go. So now you have your game mode, and now all these are available and you can actually click on them and lower them, which is nice. And the one we need is default pawn class, which is the default player character or pawn that you're going to use in this game. So what we are going to choose is the blueprint we made. So mine was called BPFP, but whatever you called yours should be on this list. If it is not, then I'm guessing you might have clicked on something else. So pawn. I don't know if pawn works. I haven't tried it. I do not use the pawn. I use the character. It's a lot simpler in my opinion. But yeah, we all have our preferences, and I use the character. So you should be able to see it, BPFP. Once that is done, you should be able to enter into BPFP. There you go. And there should be a capsule and an arrow. That should be simple enough. And yeah, well, there's your character, but it does nothing currently. The game doesn't know what to do with this. There's nothing it does. There's no camera, there's no movement. If you, on the top here, you can check your blueprint class or your event graph. What codes it? There isn't anything here, which is, well, makes it so you can't do anything. It does have these presets, but we do not need those currently. So first what we want to do is add a camera to our character, and the arrow just allows you to see which way is facing forward, so that way is forward. So we can add at the corner right here, click on add, and let's search up camera. Oh, I wrote that wrong. Camera. There you go. We do not need cinematic camera, that's cin camera, whatever. or camera shake source, doesn't matter. We just need camera, and we'll have our nice little looking camera here. And what we want to do is just drag it into the mesh too, so it just allows, I don't know how to explain it actually. I found there's a reason why every time you take the camera out of the mesh it doesn't work for me, or either last time I've done it it broke, but I'm just gonna continue with that. So you just drag the camera into the mesh, and that's it. If there's if we don't need to do that, just let me know. For this tutorial we'll just do that. And so now what we want to do is drag the camera up to head level, because currently it was at the middle of the body, and what you would see is like from your belly button, which we do not need that. We need you to see from the head, like that. So now you can see out of the head. And I would try keeping it in the middle there, so when you rotate it, it will stay like that. Either compared to like if you put it at the front here, and you rotated it, it doesn't really work. Because now you're kind of looking backwards into your head instead of backwards. So yes, let's keep it to that. So usually I would set it to 0, 0, and 60 at the top here. These are your transform. So it should be rotation 0, 0, 0, scale to 1, 1, 1, and location 0, 0, 60. So it looks like that. Perfect. So once that is done, we want to click on a little something down here inside of the details area. We can see use pawn control rotation. We want to activate that. You'll see later why, but currently we just need it to be active. So there you go. That's about it what we need to do for our character. So now we can head to the event graph. So now we have all these things. Event begin play is when you start your game, it'll just send a signal of some sort. Event actor begin overlap is when something hits or overlaps your character, so send a message. And event tick is every tick, so it's just a continuous signal. So we don't need any of these. We can delete those. There you go. So what we want first is right click and search mouse X. And oh, I put a space there. So if you look in here on the mouse events, you'll see mouse X, and we want to click on that. So it kind of looks like the tick node that we had before, event tick. It kind of looks like that. And we want to do the same thing, but for mouse Y. So let's find mouse Y on mouse events. There you go. Mouse Y. Perfect. Now it looks like that. So every time we move our mouse, it will send a signal and a axis value. So on the X value, if I move it on the X values, positive X will send a value of +1, and if I move it on the negative X, it will send me a value of -1. So, or it doesn't need to be 1 in general, it's just a number, positive or negative. It can be anything, to be honest. And same thing on the mouse Y. So up, it would be positive, down, it would be negative, and yeah, you guys gonna get it, I think. So now what we want to do is drag out of this and write down yaw. So add controller yaw input. There you go. And on the mouse Y, we want to search up add controller pitch. So now it will control the yaw and the pitch. I just want to make sure quickly. Yes, okay, I think I got it right this time. So yes, so this should be on yaw and this should be on pitch, if I'm correct. And so every time the mouse X moves, it will send a signal to add controller yaw input, and using the axis value. So what we can do is drag this into the value, so it keeps on. So this white node will send a continuous message to this one, and this one will only send a message, or it will always send a message, but whenever you move your mouse, it will change the message, and so this one is like, oh, I gotta change too. So it will move your camera. And because we do not need to reference the camera in here, because we already in here set use pawn control rotation already. So that's what that one did. So now we do not need to do anything there. And same thing here, except on the mouse Y, what we want to do is do times or multiply. So you can either write multiply like that, or you can use the little star symbol thing. I'm not sure what this is called. Say in the comments if you know what this is called. Forget. And just search that up. So once you have that, you can connect that to the value, and in here it will multiply the value. So what we want to do is just inverse the value, because for some reason this makes it backwards if you just connect this right to the value. So all you got to do is write -1, and that should work like that. So now the camera movement should be good. We can compile, save at the top. So there's compile, which will affect the whole project, and save will just save it, so when you open it again it'll be good. So once we're in here, I can delete that one. I do not need it currently. We can just come down here, and we want to add one more thing. So I have this little menu here, and if you don't see it, you can go to window, and right on this list you can see place actors. But if you don't have this and you're too lazy to do that, you can just click on the plus here and go into basics and player start. So you just drag it out, and there's your player start. So it's just a spawn area of your character. So there you go. And so if we start playing, your camera should be able to work. So up, down, and right and left. So there you go. But you still can't move, and we'll figure that out in a short second. So I just want to also say, oh, I'm preparing distant meshes. Okay, but first of all, if your game acts like this and you're able to fly around, then something is wrong, and you'll have to double check with everything we've done. So your game mode, check if it is your game mode that you chose. So BP game mode should be your game mode, and check if this is right. So because if you're flying, you're still inside some weird thing. Oh, I didn't know. What did I do? Okay, no, we didn't see that. But yeah, there you go. So there you go. That's your that is your camera movement. Simple enough. But now we want to make it so you can walk. So I have a little trick. So what we could do is do W key and search for, I don't know why it's not here, but oh, right here. We could use this to send an input that we're going forward or backwards or something. But I have something so much more simpler. You just gotta quickly figure it out. So let's just close this and this, because we're going to be using those, or one of those. So what we want to do to make our lives so much more easier is we want to go inside of edit, and right under edit you're going to see project settings, and when you click on project settings you get the project settings. And on this menu right here, you want to go down into the engine and go tiny bit down until you find input. It's like the smallest word there. So there you go, you click input. Now you have this weird menu, and you're like, what is going on? So here's what's going on. On the axis mapping, we want to click the plus icon twice. 1, 2. And there's going to be a little arrow that pops up after clicking it once. Well, just click it twice. And when we drop it down, we got new axis mapping 0 and new axis mapping 1. Those are going to be what we need. So call one right and left, and call the other one forward and backwards. There you go. And now we on the like right beside the names, there's going to be a plus icon, and you want to click on those plus icons. Now you have these weird little drop down things, which you most likely don't know what they are. Well, you most likely know because of the big keyboard there. They're just the inputs that you are going to use. So say for right and left, so right is D and left is A, and forward backwards is A, or W is forward, and S is backwards. So there you go. Those are your keys, and they are every time. So okay, how this works is now every time you click one of these keys, they'll send out a scale, which they're all identical currently. So 1, 1, and 1, 1. So what we want to do is on the left, one on the top one, right and left, we want to change left, so A to -1. Same thing for forward and backwards, change S to -1, and there you go. Now we're done here. That's all we had to do. Well, you can add more, so like if you wanted the up arrow or something like that, you could, but you don't need that currently if you're just going to use WASD. So go back to your first person character, or whatever you called it, and what we want to do now is write down right and left. So there it is. Your little thing you made inside of your project settings is right there. You want to do the same thing for the other one, so forwards, and backwards. There you go. And so now you have both of these. And now what we want to do is add movement input. So yeah, literally do that. So add movement input. There you go. So now you got some movement input, and we'll add the scale value into here. So remember when I said in here 1 and -1 and 1 and -1. So what we will be doing is that when you click on that, it will send a value to the movement input of +1 to -1. So meaning forward or backwards. But currently this node has no idea if it needs to go forwards or backwards. The world direction is 0, 0, and 0. So on right and left, what we want to do is drag out of here and search up right vector. So vector is like combination of like 3 numbers, so like X, Y, and Z. That's kind of like a vector. I'm not gonna get too much into the details because I'm not great with this stuff yet, but I'll learn later. So yes, once you write down right vector, you can usually find it inside of the transformation. Not inside the vector, that would make more sense, but no. It doesn't make any sense actually. So just in transformation, you get right vector for the mesh. So when you move, the mesh will move forward or right whenever you do that. So that's about it. So +1 is going to be right. It's going to add a value to go right, and when you click on left button or whatever button you have, it will go negative right, so left. If that makes any sense, I don't know. It makes sense. Just listen. If you don't understand, you can just follow along. And we can copy this movement input and copy it down here. No problem. Drag this into there. There you go. And add the axis value. Same thing. Done. And in here, instead of get right vector, get forward vector. Pardon me. And get the same thing for the mesh. There you go. Simple. Simple as pie. Even though pie is not simple. But yeah, there you go. There is your movement. So if you compile and save at the top here, that should just save it, and you play. So your camera is moving. It should work properly. And if you click W or whatever key you used, you should be going forward. And there you go. So that is main movement. So if this is all you guys wanted, you guys could leave, and thank you for watching. But if you guys want to add more to your movement, I will show you because it is very simple. So what we're going to do now is add jumping. This is the most simple thing in the world. I've got to show you. So you just search up space bar right there. Wow. And added pressed, you want to write down jump, and the one that literally says jump, click on that and drag another one from released and search up stop jumping. There you go. So when you press the space bar, it should start jumping, and when you release it, it should stop jumping. And you can compile save that. So when you enter into the game, you can still move around, look up, down, right, and left. And if you click spacebar, you should be able to jump. Unreal Engine has added this, so it makes it so much easier. We don't need to worry about it. Thank you. And yeah. And so now what I'm going to add, if that's all you wanted, I'm just going to do the same thing as before. If that's all you wanted, you could leave now, but we're going to add more still. We're going to add running. So either you could write down shift or left shift and right shift, whatever, but I'm going to do something else. I'm going to go back to our project setting. So if you close this project settings, you can go and edit and project settings down here, but I already have it open and we're going to keep it open. So now what we're going to do, instead of the axis mapping like we did for right and left and forward and backwards, you can close that and make a new one for action mapping. And there you go. And let's call this running, because we're going to add running now. And there you go. Let's add 2 there, and we have 2 inputs. So one will make left shift and the other one will make it right shift. And there you go. That's it, what we got to do here. Let's go back to our first person character. Let's right click and let's search up running, and it should be the action events, and you should have this. The difference between the axis mapping and the action mapping is that the axis mapping will have this axis value instead of our here when you press and release it. So we want this for running and this for like movement and camera. So once we've done that, we can go from pressed and search up max walk speed. We won't see it, but all you gotta do is just take off context sensitive and it should all be there. So what we want to do is set max walk speed. So we'll set the max walk speed. So the normal walk speed of our character, we can check from character movement right here inside of your components. Click on that, and right here we have max walk speed, which is 600 centimeters per second. Just save, we don't need the centimeters per second, so in here in max walk speed, we'll actually copy this quickly, and we'll have 2 of them. So on released, we'll set the max walk speed to 600, so when we release it, it goes back to normal. But when we press it, we'll set it to about 1,000. That seems, oh, that's 100. We'll set it to 1,000, which is reasonable enough in this scenario. So there you go. There's the running. But first of all, it doesn't know where to set this. We're setting the max walk speed, but to who? It's just self. Sadly, it doesn't reference the component here. So what we have to do is, from the component character movement, we want to drag it out, and you have this little blue thing in a box with character movement. You can drag it out and you'll have a reference to the character movement. So what we can do now is drag a little blue node into the target for both of them, and there you go. Now you have your running. If you didn't have this, nothing would work, trust me. It would most likely, let's see, if we break all pin links, so now they're not connected, and we compiled, it wouldn't work because there is no target. Self is not a allowed target for this, so just drag it back like that. There you go. Simple enough. And let's compile and save that, and we can go back to the untitled window, and now we can jump, we can walk around, move our camera, and now if we walk forward, we can now sprint. It's not that noticeable, I think, but you can see it slightly actually. But yeah, there you go. We can even set it to like 1,000,000 if we wanted to, but I'm not going to do that because that would be a bit too much. But yeah, there you go. So when you click press, it will set the max walk speed for the character movement to 1,000, and when we release, the character movement will be set to 600, or when released, the max walk speed for the character movement will be set back to its original 600. So there you go. That is your basic character movement. I could show you crouch, but that's a bit more complicated, and I'm running out of time. So thank you guys for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed this tutorial. It was a quick one and very simple too, but at the end, it's just the basics of this game and character movement of sorts. Not much to it, but yeah, so if you guys want to look over the stuff again. So mouse X is connected to controller yaw input with an axis value connected there. You do not need a target on any of these because we're already referencing the camera with this little check here, use pawn control rotation. And in the mouse Y, we are putting -1 because we're flipping the axis value, because if we had this to 1, for some reason it will be inverted. I don't know why the engine does this. And for the movement, we went to go check inside of the axis mapping inside of the project settings in input, and we added some axis mappings. So when we click D, it will send a scale of 1, and when we click A, it will send a scale of -1. Same thing here for the forward and backwards. And we set that to add movement, and the world direction was set to get right vector, which is we're getting the right vector of our mesh. So in the viewport, it will get the right like transform area, so it knows which way to go. So it would go like this way, or that's the wrong thing. But yeah, something like that. Same thing for the move forward, except it's forward. Spacebar is literally integrated inside of Unreal Engine, and all you gotta do is press jump and release stop jumping. And after an input action running, which we added inside of the project settings running with our left shift and right shift in one node, so it works with both. We set it when we press max walk speed to 1000 and when released 600, which is the original. So yeah, hope you guys enjoyed this video. And if you guys did enjoy, please make sure to like and subscribe. And tell me what else you guys want me to do, because I can do literally anything you guys want me to. And yeah. So yeah, thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one. See you guys.